The entire 8th season of 911 was hectic, but episode 18 was a generally good finale. Although the fallout from Bobby's death in 911 season 8, episode 15 is still very much in progress, Peter Krause's departure has had noticeable immediate effects. Since the main character's unexpected death, Athena Grant, Nash and Howard, Chimney, Han have been at the center of the procedural, but the other members of LAFD Station 118, such as Evan, Buckley, Henrietta, Hen, Wilson, and Ravi Panikkar, have handled their grief more quietly. Prior to the already confirmed 911 Season 9, Seismic Shifts had a number of urgent mysteries to solve. Since he relocated across the nation shortly after the mid-season premiere, Eddie Diaz has been absent for the second half of the season. However, at the conclusion of Season 8, Episode 17, the former LA firefighter was faced with a choice: return to El Paso or regain his position with the 118. Likewise, Hen was supposed to take Bobby's place as fire captain of Station 118, but she was undecided if her duty overrode her emotions. But before providing any sort of resolution, the Season 8 finale of 911 makes matters worse before they could possibly get better. The fact that Brian Thompson's Gerard wouldn't permanently replace Bobby in 911 was a small consolation, but the relief that Gerard's final day was marked by seismic shifts is swiftly overshadowed by enough heartbreaking revelations to give me whiplash. Even though Eddie had to make a tough decision in between episodes of Don't Drink the Water, the former Army medic made his choice. The Season 8 finale of 911 begins with a farewell party to send Eddie back to El Paso. The entire situation is dubious, especially in light of how miserable both Christopher and Eddie were in Texas. The 118 gives Eddie his turnouts, a gesture usually reserved for retirement, adding to the scene's heartbreaking impact. The sentimentality serves as a break from the tension, but when Hen declares that she has declined the captaincy, Buck, whose main characteristic is being a little too invested, coolly takes the news. Buck's unusual response only prepares the audience for a much more shocking revelation. He says he asked to be transferred to another firehouse. What irritates me the most is Buck's flimsy logic. With Bobby dead, Buck views the 118 as just a number, so it doesn't matter where he is, he tells the other members of the team in a dejected manner. Buck, the same character who went into a tailspin in 911 Season 3 over the fictitious possibility of the team splitting up, would never leave the rest of his adopted family. I can almost accept it as an extreme manifestation of his unresolved grief, but Buck's willingness to leave stands in the way of his character's deep development. There isn't enough time, of course, to fully process the chaos in the 118 before the cliffhanger in 911 Season 8, Episode 17, is escalated to the point of possible mass harm. A 19-story building suddenly explodes, with Athena right outside. Even though a structural collapse isn't the most serious emergency that 911 responds to, it still necessitates a large rescue team and puts hundreds of civilians in danger. A strategy of division and conquer is devised by the 118 in response to the call, but later explosions leave several cherished characters stranded in precarious situations. In his turnouts, Eddie shows up to help when Buck and Ravi are high on the unstable high-rise. As Chimney and Athena attempt to assist Graham, Sam Roach, and Donnie, Adam Hagenbeck, the two most seriously hurt in the initial explosion, they become trapped. In a not-at-all subtle reference to Bobby's death, Graham eventually reveals that he has been injured the entire time and has been concealing it. However, Chimney thaws Athena's cold shoulder by altering the narrative and saving Graham's life this time. They embrace after Athena remarks that Bobby would be pleased with him. While the special effects in 911 are excellent, they are a little distracting. The bulbous air pockets on a woman's skull and Donnie's gushing chest wound, in particular, briefly distracted me from the narrative. The scene where Eddie sends a zip line for Buck and Ravi to escape is even more inappropriate. It exemplifies 9-1's tendency to include exaggerated action scenes merely for their own sake. Unlike the emergency plane landing or Binadu, however, the final emergency of 911 Season 8 is straightforward but effective, and I recognize its importance within the overall plot. The fact that Buck and Eddie's story did not have a satisfying resolution is without a doubt the most disappointing aspect of the 911 Season 8 finale. Even though both Buck and Eddie intended to make significant life changes, their only interactions in the 911 Season 8 finale were in group settings. They never spoke to each other individually. While Eddie may come to Buck's aid during the building collapse, it is not a personal encounter. There is no justification, according to some, for Buck and Eddie's relationship to develop romantically in 911. Without the obvious pandering strewn throughout 911 Season 8, I might have agreed, or at least understood. There was nothing amiable about Maddie, Jennifer Love Hewitt, stating bluntly that it wouldn't be crazy if Buck fell in love with Eddie, or about Buck's ex-boyfriend referring to Eddie as his competition. However, 911 basically set up a friends-to-lovers plot and then changed its mind at the last second. The plot of 911 Season 8 involving Buck and Eddie turns out to be nothing more than wishful thinking.